Michael here with Plan It All, and this video is going to be dedicated to the setup of our tent. Now remember, this whole series has been sponsored by Growee. They're providing equipment so I can take you all the way through this process of setting up a tent right to your harvest. And we're going to be featuring them and the way that water management systems, specifically the Growee, can take a lot of the labor and the potential inaccuracy of a hydroponic grow and just automates it all. The setup of your tent is one of the more important tasks to get right. That's not to say you should be phoning in any of these steps, but this is the foundation. This is the home for our plants. We're going to have a lot of water flowing through here. And so prepping your space, knowing how you can use that space, and getting that tent set up right the first time can be an enormous help, making sure that your grow is as successful as possible. All right, let's get going, and I'm going to take us over to the space that I've set up here. We're going to get that tent erected and its basic equipment installed. All right, so I'm just going to narrate along as we go here, and a lot of this really is just time-lapse video of me doing the work. You saw me first, starting out by sweeping the space. Ultimately, there's going to be a fair amount of weight in this area. So make sure that wherever you're setting up has a smooth surface, a clean surface, because anything that's stuck under your tent is going to stay there, but also too has the potential for poking through and then violating that surface of your tent. So make sure it's nice and clean. Once you're all cleaned up, then next order of business is to wrestle over your tent. Now, when they come brand new, they are more organized in how they're folded than what you just saw. I moved this tent from a different location to do a fresh setup here, so it was a bit of a jumble. Basically, what you need to do is completely unfold it. And most tents like this AC Infinity tent open up on 3 of its 4 sides. So you can assemble your base square, put it down and get it roughly into place, and then kind of lift up and over the rest of the tent and then secure it around. It's going to be tight. We don't want a lot of slack in these, so just take your time, pull it gently over the corners, and make sure that each aspect of your support aspect of your support frame does go all the way into where it should. Okay. Now we're getting a little bit of equipment here. These are the 2 circulating fans. These are the newer ones that AC Infinity just recently reissued. They were kind enough to reach out to all their customers, I believe, that had the previous version, because it had a couple little quirks, especially with the oscillation gear, and they made sure that we all got updated fans, which I'm happy to report are very robust. There's a lot of cables involved. Take your time as you install each element of your grow equipment to make sure that you keep your cables nice and neat and bundled together. It's really going to pay off. Now with the light here, I'm just hooking it up on one side and it's hanging kind of up against the wall. So it's in place and supported, but out of my way for the time being. And I almost forgot the ceiling support, so better get these in now. So if you look at these, got a bigger offset and a smaller offset. These need to go in first because they're going to sit basically on top of these, which need to go in second. You'll see they've basically the same height, so it hits both of your both sides, front, back, left to right of your primary support, and then this gives you some top bracing. Doesn't really matter which ones you put it in. I like to go front to back with the first ones, left to right with the others, but no difference really whatsoever. Before we get too far into this more, let me just give you a brief tour of the insides. So everything is set up there, and you can see there's really we're working with minimal space on either side. And as we get to the plumbing phase, I'm going to be cutting a hole using that big port right there. That's actually where the recirculation loop is going to head through into the adjoining room.
And we have similar size port over here. That's just going to be for airflow coming from the lung room, which is my pantry. Back port there, just kind of leave it as is, and we have these 3 covered ports. So depending on how things are going during the grow, I may open or close those, and they're just Velcroed on. We have the 2 circulating fans, just roughly put in position right now. And you saw me doing it earlier, but cable management. So the cables here, power and control, are coming up. They are Velcro tied in the corner, and the Velcro is actually kind of important. Come over, they join up with these. The control lines, the data lines, go up and will be joined to the controller out here. And then power is actually going to go out through this port because I'm running power in the adjoining space as well. But back to those Velcro ties. See how they're nice and wide? This gets ignored every once in a while, and folks just kind of use zip ties or, you know, more or less whatever's at hand, and it can put a lot of strain on the cables. So the wider that is, the more gentle it is on your cables. Last but not least, we have the light here. It's already attached by one side, so I'm going to swing that up in just a moment so it's level, and then I'm going to put in the air duct. All right, lighting installation. Let's bring this over so you can see it a bit better. 2 parts basically, and there's not a right or a wrong way of doing this. This is my preferred way. You have the yoke piece here that actually connects directly into the light. These little kind of like miniature carabiners. And then you have these lifters. I like attaching these to the main frame, so the horizontal pieces running front to back. They certainly can be attached onto those cross supports in the middle, but they can shift, so I prefer to keep it on the most rigid part. So, and here's the power for the light itself. I like running this through one of the carabiners just to make sure it's a nice, even, gentle curve here. It is power after all. And if it gets hooked onto something that's going to force into a tighter curve, you could develop a short over time. All right, let's get this attached. Right, we got our humidity probe here. This is just going to be going right to the sensor. Or sorry, it's going to be going right to the control panel. And I like looping this over one of my cross supports here and down through the light. It just helps keep it centered. And the more centered it is into the canopy of whatever you're growing, the more reliable the reading is going to be. Okay, last but not least, venting. All right, got my my charcoal vent here with a little muffler sleeve on it, the pre-filters you can get. These are great. You'll be surprised at how much they pick up before it even comes through your charcoal filter. All right, so that's going to interfere with my door here. You have to figure out a different placement, but this is fine for getting started. As you'll see, I've got lots of possible duct to work with, and so it certainly can be relocated. All right, here we go. Now, a quick word on inline duct fans. The bigger you can go, the better. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have a bigger motor on it, but the less times that the diameter of your ducting has to change, the less noise you're going to pick up. So this is a 6-inch. It has an 8-inch motor on it. So it's just little cowlings that are pinching it down to the size for the charcoal filter as well as the ducting. But there's no reason why, if you have the setup and the space for it, you can go 8-inch, then there'll be no reducing cowling on there, and it's going to improve the amount of noise generated. Okay, time for the controller. All right, here she is. The AC Infinity controller comes in basically 2 parts, and you don't have to use them together. Here's the controller itself, and a set of eye hooks on the back. Also has a kickstand, which is kind of a nice touch. That coupled with the plate, you basically have as many mounting options as you could possibly want. The plate itself, we've got hooks, they just secure right into the nylon straps here, and then a little cord keeper, again, to kind of keep those cables nice and neat so you don't wear them unnecessarily. And then the controller's magnetic, which is great, but if you want a little extra security, they do supply screw posts that can come into here and then hook on the back. So you can hook directly to your wall, you can hook securely to the plate, or you can just go all magnet. I go with the magnet and the wall plate together. Now, the first couple times I put together an AC Infinity tent, I had a hard time getting those little hooks into those straps. And it's important that you get all 4 of them in there. If you have just 3 or 2, it's really not going to be anywhere near as secure as it could be with all 4. So bottom hooks go in first, and I found if you push in the tent a little bit, you can get them to catch, and then push up the top, and you're good to go. All right, let's get these cables in. Now, I'm not sure how well this will show up on camera, but other than the temperature sensor right here, which has a totally different plug, the temperature and humidity, it looks like a 1/8 inch headphone jack. The rest of these are just numbered, so it really doesn't matter what you attach. And if you need more than 4, based on, this is the 69 Pro that I have, they do sell splitters, USB-C splitters, so then you can put, say, number 4 is where I attach my fans. I want to add 2 more, so I have 4 in there. I can put a splitter, well, a couple splitters, and then run all 4 fans off of that one control line. If you are going with the wall plate mount option, make sure that your cables go under the kickstand. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up squishing them. All right, that is the primary assembly of the tent, with one last exception. The floor pan. I have had a couple people ask me, wait, what's this thing and do I really need it? Well, one, it's a floor pan. It's designed to be an additional barrier to the floor, as well as catch any spills. And we're dealing with water, so there's going to be spills. What's better to clean out? Disassemble and clean your whole tent, or pull this little thing out? Always make sure you put it in. AC Infinities come pre-stitched. Some have double sets of Velcro, so it's totally flat, and then you kind of fold in and Velcro your corner, and then you secure the post straps. Either way, use it. It's a cheap piece to replace if you had to, and it will save you a lot of grief down the road. Okay, here we are. This is the fully assembled 3x3 AC Infinity tent. And as you can see, so this is 6 foot tall and 3x3. And that is almost literally what I have here. It's not a lot of room, but if you plan it out, it'll definitely work. All right, not looking too bad. We now have a fully assembled tent. I do have to finish connecting power, and I'm going to tidy up my cables just so they're out of the way and less likely to get damaged. But that's it for the physical assembly. So just a couple seconds after I finished that last video, I realized I just need to move my duct fan around the corner. So it's still attached to the same port into the tent, but it's down around the corner. And there's plenty of slack in my hose there. You can see the bottom kind of all compressed there. Make sure your extra is on the bottom, because when you fire it up, it's going to get pulled there if you're venting from versus pushing into your tent. And it gives you wiggle room if you gotta get behind it, like in my case. I also went ahead and I added my power strip. I forgot about it, but you'll see it in the very first part of the video. There is an outlet back there that was available. And this is an old Belkin power strip, but a nice one because it has cable management built right into it. There you go. You can see the dial-up modem telephone ports. That's how old this thing is, but it does a great job and keeps everything tidy.
All right, and that is a tent setup and ready to go on to the next steps. Not very complicated. It does take a fair amount of time, and as you saw, the planning is important. Everything that we're adding to our process here on in is going to be relying on these steps. So if we find something we need to change, there's a lot of stuff we're going to have to change if we don't do it now. So take your time, make sure that you have planned out your spaces, and get everything set up the way you want it the first time. Now don't forget, Growee is our sponsor for this. So go ahead, check out their website, investigate a little bit about what a Growee Pro system could be doing for you. Links are in the bottom for all the equipment. And when you're on Growee's website, don't forget that signing up for their newsletter is going to get you that 5% off coupon. Down in the notes below, you're going to find links to each of the pieces of equipment that I'm using in the Grow, as well as a link to Muckles Inc., where if you want to support the channel, you can get your own hockey hoodie, t-shirt, or hat with the Planet All logo on there. I may earn a small commission from any of the links that you use. This comes at no expense to you, but it makes a really big difference in terms of having a little bit of income to support these projects and future videos. All right, enjoy the process, get out there, plan it all, and I will see you in the next video.